Hi guys, this is your guy Cash75 again, back with a new video. And this time I would like to discuss the Xiaomi Mi 10 Pro 5G. So here we have it. I've used it already for a bit, but just to simulate, I've put it back in the box for you guys. So the Mi 10 and Mi 10 Pro actually came out in March of this year, and in Europe at least they've been available from August. So that's pretty interesting. I have to say the only interesting thing that's in the box is a 3.5 millimeter to USB-C adapter. And what's also pretty interesting, we have a large charging brick. So with the Pro model, this is 65 watt, and with the regular model, that's 33 watts. But both are capable of incredible fast charging speeds. So here we have the device itself, and you can see actually the main things. So Snapdragon 865, 108 megapixel quad camera setup with 8K video support, a 90 Hertz high refresh rate screen, and like I said, 50 watts wired and 30 watts wireless fast charging, 4500 milliamp hour battery. So let's just take this paper off. So I've got the white version, and I just think it looks absolutely beautiful. I actually did not see at first that it had gold trim edges, but that also looks pretty nice. So before I really get into the phone, I wanted to answer some questions. As you guys know, I've previously been, well, previously I'm still am, a major Sony Xperia fan. And the reason I kind of shifted attention is because one, I needed something new, something different, which I tend to do every few years. As you know, on this channel, I've also covered Windows phones and BlackBerry devices, which also at that same time, prior to having those devices, I had Xperia devices. So first of all, why Chinese? I think at the moment they have by far the best price quality ratio in terms of specs when we compare that to the competition. I'll elaborate on that a little further up near the end of the video. Also, why Xiaomi? So this is the Mi 10, Xiaomi, Chinese brand, because I think they have a nice combo of actually good parts, good software, and also good prices. I mean, Huawei, for example, is of course banned. And me personally, of course, you've got people that like OnePlus a lot. That's one of the big names now in Chinese brand smartphones. But as people know about me, I'm not really a fan of stock Android. So I needed something that had a lot of customization and a lot of features packed into it without being cluttered or unattractive to look at. And for years actually that has been Sony, but they've actually gone back to getting more and more stock, losing all of their features that made them Sony for me in the process. And so I looked into what Xiaomi was doing, and their software approach, which I will also handle later on in this video, is really what really made them interesting for me. And yeah, why now? You're gonna get a lot of that, or a large part has to do with the software. So once we get to the software bit, I will elaborate on that as well. Now onto the device itself, we have the typical design, of course, Gorilla Glass 5 in this case, on both the front and the back. Looks really nice, really premium build. As you can also see, it's got a curved edge screen, really nice. And we've got a camera pinhole on the left corner of the device. The device is about the size of the OnePlus 8 Pro, Galaxy S20 Plus, I would say. and it's quite heavy at 220 grams, which is also about the same that the OnePlus 8 Pro weighs. On the back, we've got a camera array. We've got a 108 megapixel f1.7 main lens, a 20 megapixel ultra wide lens, a 12 megapixel telephoto lens, and another 8 megapixel telephoto lens. So no macro lenses on here. And that is immediately the difference also between this one and the Mi 10. So you've got the Mi 10 and the Mi 10 Pro. And the biggest difference I can say right now is the camera array. The Mi 10 keeps the 108 megapixel camera and has a 2 megapixel macro sensor and a 2 megapixel depth sensor. And the third lens is, I believe, a 12 megapixel ultra wide. So the big thing for me that I can already spoil for you before we get to the camera bit is the 108 megapixel module. That just makes it that's just a standout feature of this camera, which makes this camera one of the top that you can get in a phone right now. So if we go further up the list with the specs, we've got a 6.67 inch Full HD Plus AMOLED screen with a 90 Hz refresh rate. And I have to say it's top drawer, top class. But if I'm really honest, there's not really a single flagship phone with a best screen these days. What I do like about this phone is always on display, and that is just a really nice feature. And of course here we have the built-in under display fingerprint sensor, which works pretty well, pretty fast. And yeah, as you can see, the screen is very vibrant, very colorful, very rich, as you can expect from an OLED screen. It's also HDR+, it's got the wide color gamut, all of that standard stuff basically, great viewing angles, just a world-class screen. What is very unique about the Mi 10 and what I really like, and that is something you really have to hear for yourself, is that it actually has a speaker chamber on the top and one on the bottom. You can also see here, this is where the SIM card tray goes in. Unfortunately, there's no possibility to extend your memory with micro SD cards, just like you have on the OnePlus. So on the side here, we have the volume rocker and the on and off power switch. And on the left side, everything is clean. We have the earpiece up here, but like I said, so the earpiece does not get used for stereo sound like with many other phones, but it really has a separate sound chamber, and that really makes it one of the best sounding stereo speakers on any phone right now. And again, I would like to emphasize, all of this also holds true for the regular Mi 10, which will be very interesting when we come into the pricing at the end of this video for this phone. So this is also one of the instances what I picked up a little earlier and that I would like to elaborate on, because where are these specs from? Well, the 108 megapixel camera is a module by Samsung, and they're using in their own S20 Ultra, which later on I will show to you guys costs a lot more than this phone does. And also things like high-res audio and the OIS for the camera are all things produced by Sony, for example. So that is really incredible that you get like the latest tech and gear into this package for a very nice price. And also one of the nice things that I wanted to talk about is the Tactile Engine in this phone. It's really incredible, also world class. I mean, every time I unlock my phone, it just feels like I'm unlocking a car door or something like that. I believe Mr. Who's the Boss also had such comments on this guy's bigger brother, the Mi 10 Ultra, and this also holds true for the Mi 10 Pro and the regular Mi 10. It's just incredible. Also when typing, it just all feels so very accurate and responsive. So that really enhances the experience. Which brings me right into the last reason why I really thought like, okay, this might be a contender for me, in terms of that I would like to own it, like to rock this, make this my main driver. and that is the software. Software on this device, you guys, is just so very smooth and subtle, and yeah, 97% of the time, I mean, just like iOS, it is very smooth. But unlike, of course, the iPhone, this one does not operate on 6 Hz but 90 Hz, which makes it for me all the more delightful, actually, that it's responding so smoothly, operating so smoothly. I mean, MIUI 12 is just a very nice Android skin in terms of look and feel, but mostly animation. I mean, if you look at this, right now I am actually rocking one of the super wallpapers, as they call them, and the super wallpapers are just incredible. So this is my always on display. When I double tap, so I come onto my lock screen, then you can see the surface of the Earth basically, which looks already real nice. So here is usually, if you have your notifications, they'll pop up here, and then when you sign into your phone, you get zoomed in into it. It's beautiful. I think these were some Chinese gardens somewhere, but you just see that it's just very smooth. And when you lock it, you go back to your always on display screen. You just see it zoom out, zoom in, zoom out, and that's all just goes so very smooth. And that is just something I can't get enough of, if I'm honest. And it's also kind of a party trick. If you show this to people, they'll be like, "Whoa, okay, that's really impressive. That looks really nice." But also their whole UI and their philosophy on UI. I mean, it's so graphic. I mean, if you see the weather app, for example, it just looks so very nice. And even if you go into applications here, so I have some the picture gallery here, and if I go out of the picture gallery, you can see these nice animations showing up here. Same thing with music. That is just something that's really cool, very well done, and really shows the intent on really refining this OS to the minimum of details. I mean, it just looks very good, and very nice to interact with every day. And you see these nuances throughout the interface. I mean, if we go to the settings, for example, and we have, I think, let's see. So if we go to battery, for example, that looks really nice. So here you see we have MIUI 12 is what it's called. And if we go to, let's say, storage, that also looks incredible, very nice. So simple, but so, so beautifully designed. Something that Apple, for example, is known for. And it almost feels like it has the beautiful and elegance, the beauty of elegance from iOS, but of course with the actual functionality of not only Android but the thicker, more elaborate Android skins, like One UI, for example, from Samsung, or LG skin, but all more refined and very beautifully animated, as you can see. So those super wallpapers are just one of the many ways you can customize this phone, and I'll get more into that once I handle, of course, something that you know about me. I like themes, customizing your phones, chasing icons and everything that comes with it. We'll get to that a little later in the video, but that, might I say already, is also very elaborate. So one area where you particularly know all of these or notice all of these qualities is, for example, in gaming. This is a game I downloaded a few days ago, and it's actually pretty interesting. So here as well, you have one of the extra functionalities. I think it's called the game Toolbox, and you can actually see the frames per second. You see that it's now running on 90 frames per second with using 36% of the CPU. So you can just also see how smooth everything is animated, and how this game is actually taking advantage of that.
The villagers were bewildered by the sight of Oddmar's newfound.
So as you can see, everything just looks so very smooth. So also the sound. It sounds the same from both sides. Yeah, it just looks so smooth. Yeah, so gaming is something that suits this phone very well. And the funny thing is, this phone of course has a Snapdragon 865. This one comes with 256 gigabytes of storage, but you can also go for 128, and you can get it with either 8 gigabytes of RAM or 12 gigabytes of RAM, with 8 being the standard, which is also very nice. But you can see in gaming, for example, and benchmarks, this one scores higher than its competitors that also have a Snapdragon 865. And I believe that has to do with the vapor chaining design of this phone, which is something, yeah, it's not really talked about that much. Xiaomi highlighted it in their presentation, but in real life it does really make a difference. I mean, the phone really rarely gets hot, only with the fast charging, but during gaming or watching a movie on a high frame rate or anything like that, it stays consistently smooth and does not throttle. That's also yeah, something that makes this phone really high-end and world-class in my opinion. So something really important I want to address as well, as I know these phones are very popular in India, for example, and of course in their homeland, mainland China. And over there the phones are known to have ads in their applications. The thing is, if you have a Mi device, so not a Redmi but really a Mi device and a European ROM, you don't get any of the ads at all. I mean, if I go to their own applications where this tends to happen, you know, you get these pop-ups here in the bottom, I believe. You don't get any of that in the European ROM of MIUI 12. And that is that's just something that I wanted to highlight and inform you guys about. So if you're living in Europe, then that's not any reason not to consider. So now I wanted to touch a bit on the special quirks and features that you have with this phone. So naturally, of course, you can just have function keys below here to actually use the phone, navigate through the phone, but I've opted for the gesture control, and you see here that the multitasking is also a bit different from other Android phones. And the funny stuff is that you can actually, yeah, you can of course multitask with top and bottom applications running side by side, but you also have something called floating windows. And that means you can just do other stuff, look up other stuff while, for instance, I don't know if anybody would do that, but you can just have your game open on here while you're doing something else on the phone or looking something up, and then just go back to the game, which is very nice and a very nice way of multitasking, and is also unique to the MIUI 12 on the Xiaomi devices. So one of the killer features that I really love is, I think it's called the video toolbox. So for instance, if I am watching a YouTube video here, For example, I like to listen to Lou later sometimes. Let's just lower that. But I don't want to keep my phone screen on all the time. I can just swipe to the right and I get this video toolbox tool where I can actually record the video, cast the video, screenshot the video, yeah, make changes to sound and everything like that. But what I like most is play the video with my screen off. And that is just fantastic. I mean, that's a feature I've craved for so long. I've had it on past phones, but the feature always got killed somehow by YouTube themselves. I know it used to be a way to do it on iOS and on, let's say, homebrew created applications. For instance, Windows Phone and BlackBerry also had this feature. But seeming as those platforms are dead, you don't really have an alternative for that, or you have to buy an app, which can sometimes get removed from the App Store. But it is a native feature of MIUI 12, and that is just one of those things that I find so important and that you cannot get in a stock experience, never. So that's, for example, one of those features that I really like in MIUI 12. I think I've skimmed a bit over the basics of MIUI 12, but it's basically just, you know, Android as you know it. So you have your home screens, you have even your Google feed over here, and in MIUI 12 you have an app tray. Another really awesome feature that I would like to display is, of course, you have dark mode now in Android, but as you can see, MIUI is going to take dark mode a step further. So if I activate dark mode, one of the first things is you see the super wallpaper gets converted to dark mode, so now it's night. And what's also very awesome, of course, you have some native apps that have been updated to support dark mode on Android. But one of those apps that I use a lot and that doesn't do that and burns my eyes out every night and every morning is Facebook. And you can see even Facebook over here is has shifted to dark mode, and that is due to MIUI optimizations in the code, I believe, where they've just activated dark mode in this application. And that is just something that I'm like, you know, that really gives you an extra experience and really differentiates this phone from not only other Androids but also from the iPhone or any other phone, for example. These are just features that are so meaningful and so nice to have. And the thing is, this is not like only something for high-end devices. No, this is every MIUI device from Xiaomi that is running MIUI 12 has this feature built in, and that is just fantastic and really enhances the experience. And I'd like to stipulate again, that's probably the biggest reason why I actually ended up making the move to Xiaomi. MIUI 12 is just fantastic with loads of features, beautiful animation, as I already showed you guys. So let me just turn off dark mode again. I have it scheduled, so that's also of course a feature that you have, but I think most dark mode enabled phones have it. But another feature that of course is incredibly important to me is themes. And I have to say this this MIUI 12, the ecosystem has been rumored to have a very good community that creates these themes, and some of these themes are just incredible. I mean, this one, for example, looks really nice. Changes the lock screen style and everything in an instant, and it just makes it look so very cool. So for instance, if I go to my lock screen now, I mean, this is how it looks like. I mean, that is just awesome. And these are just many of the themes that really stand out. I think the most impressive one I've seen, check for you guys, is this very modern tech theme. Yes, this one, and this one is just it's just one of those things that is like, you know, it's nice that MIUI is nice and has nice features, you know, the super wallpapers and all that. But if you're really looking for something else, I mean, this changes the outlook of the whole phone completely. And it's just so nicely made. And where you notice it is, of course, on the home screen here with the weather widget and everything, but especially on the lock screen. I mean, this is just, I've never seen anything like this. I mean, Sony has some really nice teams, but this is just maybe taking it up a notch. I mean, this whole lock screen is almost like a different operating system altogether on your phone, or like a different skin that you downloaded, but just on your lock screen. So here you can see the clock. I can change it to weather information. I can change it to calendar and even flick through the months. I mean, all from my lock screen. That is just incredible. I even have like a full-fledged music player here that I can just run my beats on and everything like that. I mean, that's just, I've never seen anything like it. It's just incredible and really awesome to work with. You see also some of these icons get animated as well. I mean, those little nuances, that's just really, really awesome. You know, and you can just see how everything is just nicely converted to this new theme. And that is just something that adds an extra bit of coolness that I've been missing actually from new Xperias. And there's scaled down skins that have been basically cleaned up to look just like stock. This is anything but stock really, but I do think on top of the enhancements, I like to have a new look on my phone every now and then. And this phone's with its incredible themes. There's a lot more others. Just let me know in the comments if I can entertain you guys with a separate video on this. But this is just one of those things that makes this phone incredible and a joy to use. So yeah, guys, this is probably all the important stuff you should know about the Mi 10 and Mi 10 Pro models. Something I think I've neglected to show you guys is the picture quality, which I have to be honest, like I said before, there really aren't any phones that have bad pictures these days. So this was taken with the 108 megapixel camera. Some pictures in my neighborhood. I mean, you see the detail is just really nice in all of these photos. You know, 108 megapixel, you really can't go wrong. But it's not even the megapixels that count, it's the f1.7 aperture, so it lets in a lot of light and that just gives you a lot of greatly resolved detail. So this is with the main cam, and you can see just the leaves and everything just looks so sharp and vibrant as well. Here again, very, very, very nicely done. Just very, very sharp. Nice bokeh, as you can see, like the front door entrance is put out of focus to emphasize on what's outside. And even here with the wide angle camera, you can see how much the lens captures, and that is just very nice, and also still very, very, very high quality. Video also is of course top jar. So it's got pretty good zoom levels, and I believe this is all done by the 108 megapixel camera, and that's where I emphasize with the Mi 10 and Mi 10 Pro that really does not even make that much of a difference. The real reason you should go for the Pro is obviously the color scheme, which is unique to the Pro, and the fast charging, so the twice as fast charging. So this can do about 50 watts of charging, and the Mi 10 can do about 25 to 30 watts of fast charging. That really is the biggest difference between the Mi 10 and Mi 10 Pro. And now we come to the pricing, because when these phones were introduced back in, I think it was February, there was an outrage because the Xiaomi devices, for a little bit of context, have always been known to be very cheap, but offer the 8 series Snapdragon processors, so the 855, 845 in the past, and I believe the Mi 8 and the Mi 9 last year were all selling for, I think, about 400 euros, maybe 500 euros. So those were very, very nice prices. And then this Mi 10 Pro came out for 1,000 euros, and the Mi 10 regular 800 euros. So that outraged a lot of people, and I'm not sure if I can say rightly so, because just with OnePlus and all the other brands, everybody has gone more expensive. I mean, if you compared it to the S20 Ultra that came out also back then, and the S20 Plus and the S20, those were phones that were starting at €1,000 and actually going up to, I think, €1,400. And that is a bit of the game that Xiaomi is playing, because that same 108 megapixel camera that you can find on the S20 Ultra and now the Note 20 Ultra, you can is included in this phone with similar results, really, or even better, I think, in some cases, at least according to DxOMark. And that is just that made these phones a very interesting value proposition. Now we are living in I believe the end of September, next October, and now these phones have dropped prices as well. So now the Mi 10 Pro has gone from €1,000 to around €800, I think €750, depending where you look. And the regular Mi 10 starts at €550. So considering that, you get this incredible hardware. I mean, you know, the fast processor, the great screens, well, always on display, nice stereo speakers, and of course the incredible software. And I mean, maybe most importantly, 108 megapixel camera that you can find on the S20 Ultra, all for those prices, and that just makes it an incredible value proposition. So I also wanted to briefly speak on the upcoming Mi 10T Pro phones and the Mi 10T, and those apparently are not going to have the AMOLED screens, but they will increase the refresh rate from 90 Hz to 144 Hz. And the prices should start, I think, at around €700 to be rumored, but I think in Europe it's going to be a little bit more expensive. So those are maybe some interesting alternatives. But I also wanted to take the time to actually go over some of its competitors, because that's what makes it really, really interesting. I already mentioned Samsung a little bit earlier. So Samsung, their S20 at the moment of writing now retails for €1,200, and that is included with 128 gigabytes of storage. They have 120 Hz screens, slightly higher than 90 Hz, but I have to say the biggest difference that you can notice in high refresh rate screen is going from 60 to 90 Hz. 90 to 120 is very, very difficult to notice, I have to say. So yeah, €1,200 for something that has the same camera, and I believe it has somehow some more focusing issues than on this camera, I have to say. So I mean, why would you go for an S20 Ultra when you can get this phone with pretty much the same specs, but better software in my opinion, and yeah, maybe more elegant design probably, and way better sound. I mean, that's just incredible. The only thing this phone really lacks compared to the S20 Ultra is water and dust resistance, because it does not have an IP rating, but it does have nano coating, so it can't take a splash or anything like that. But I have to say, ever since owning the original Xperia Z, which was the first high-end commercially available smartphone with these ingress protection, I've never once thought of doing that, you know, because the funny thing is, it says it's water protected, but if your phone gets water damage, it doesn't get covered by a warranty. So that's always something I tell people with their supposedly waterproof phones. Always be careful with that. So if we go on with Samsung, we have the S20 Plus a little lower. That is now priced at €838, also for 128 gigabytes. But again, that's actually where the big differences come. They do not come with this superb 108 megapixel camera lens. If we go a little bit down to the S20, same S20 Fan Edition that came out, those retail for around €770 for the original S20 and €750 for the Fan Edition S20. And they don't have this class-leading camera on this module, this 108 megapixels. I believe they have a triple sensor of 12 megapixels. Now, of course, megapixels isn't everything, but it does say a lot if you get a 108 megapixel camera on the ultimate flagship on Samsung, just like the Note 20 Ultra has it, and yeah, the other lenses on the S20 and S20 Plus. So that is a very, very, very interesting, and yeah, something that this phone has and the other phones don't have. So to conclude this video, to end it, should you buy the Mi 10, Mi 10 Pro? If you're looking for a great software experience, great cameras, best-in-class sound, best-in-class charging, as well wired as wireless charging, and you don't really care about ingress protection like water and dust resistance, then these are the phones to get, in my opinion. You might, if you're living in Europe, want to wait and see what the Mi 10T are going to retail for, and if the Mi 10 Ultra might become available. Those are the only other phones that I could say, like, you know, very interesting as well. But I think the majority of you guys, I could just recommend the regular Mi 10 because it has 95% of the features that this phone has, but it retails for just a little bit more than 500 euros. And then you just really get a phone that can actually, you know, is better at some stuff that against phones that are twice its price. And Xiaomi as a whole, I am very impressed with their software. So even like phones like the Poco F2 Pro, or the recently released, I think, the Poco F3 with a 120 Hz refresh rate for, I think it retails for 230 euros. I wouldn't get it just for that, but the software experience, MIUI, everything I just showed you is also available on there, and that makes it therefore a very interesting phone on itself as well. Even the Redmi phones, I mean, if you're really strapped for cash, you know, those retail for, I think, 150, 160, 170 euros. By the top of my head, the Note 8 Pro, for example, is a device that also has the MIUI 12 update rolled out to it. That is a bargain if you're looking for a great software experience with a lot of features and good battery life. So I'm hoping I've informed you guys with this review, unboxing, and everything to know about the Mi 10 Pro. Let me know in the comments if you guys want specific videos on, for example, the camera or gaming, and of course the themes like I mentioned. And in future videos, I'm also going to see maybe if I can get in a OnePlus or a device like that to compare it with on video. But for now, I would like to thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell, because I'm going to try and get more active and cover these phones like they should be. This has been Guest 75, and I'll see you guys in the next video.